you've been watching the channel, you know that I like to travel. And today, we're early October, and it's decent, 55 degrees out here. And it's probably going to be the last really nice day of the year. So, you may have seen it, but I'm at the Kinzua Bridge State Park, which is, I want to say, McKean County, Pennsylvania. We'll get a little closer and, of course, walk the bridge. Maybe even try going underneath. I understand first time I went here in 2012, it was literally just the bridge that they redid as a viewing deck. Like I said, we'll go down and see that a little bit more. But I haven't been back since. So this visitor center, I don't recall being here the first time I went. It does look very, very new. So yeah, join me as I check out Kinzua Bridge State Park here in McKean County, Pennsylvania. Surprised there's still flowers. Like I said, we're early October. I figured all of them would be dead by now, but this is a little bit of what greets you when you leave the parking lot. For those of you that don't know, New Jersey and New York charge to visit the state parks. Pennsylvania does not. Incidentally, I live in eastern Pennsylvania, and a lot of traffic from Pennsylvania, or from New York and New Jersey, come to enjoy the state parks in Pennsylvania because they are free of charge. I have seen some New York and some Maryland plates here, but it shows you how far people are willing to drive. But one thing the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania does very well are these historic markers. See, I didn't know the state park was created in 1963, but apparently it was. I just thought it was more recent, new century. But there's a cool little exhibit on the inside, and I'll see about filming in there. But hold on. So that maintenance walkway, catwalk there. That's the way I came up, or down and up. It said it's early October, and looks like the bulk of the leaves have already changed colors.
Tom stopped. I didn't know.
Pine trees are left, but a couple of the deciduous Looks like it's hanging onto its leaves yet. This is the valley. Hard to believe glaciers made this. Must have been an impressive amount of ice. Something tells me that's hiding a hole. Just a hunch. Done this before right around noon. Now we've got about 2 o'clock. The light changes are minor, but you do get to see the valley here in a slightly different light than we did before. And it looks like they've got a new park ranger here. But up ahead, we'll show you what an F1 tornado can do. So when I was here in 2012, you could actually see straight down this.
Or Kinzua, however you want to pronounce it.
Now it looks like there's corrugated steel blocking the view. But this, so that's the visitor center. The trail, the bridge that we crossed, and the Kinzua Creek.
100 years, the lexicon has just changed so much, and the locals now pronounce it Kinzua.
So they just pronounce it Kinzua.
Yeah, so both are correct. You'll see a lot of the locals will say Kinzua, and a lot of other folks will say Kinzua, and you're both right. The original pronunciation is
So the F1 tornado would have come down here, blown everything off of their piers, kicked all the steel off. And as you can see, it did a fair amount of damage, destroying a good chunk of the bridge. But this is a railroad bridge. Did do lumber and coal for a while, and then passengers up until the started in like 1987, and then the tornado destroyed it 2002.
So it was a 3-year project. We're already finished with it. So, yes.
So that's an impressive amount of damage.
Yeah.
And it's even worse when you get up close, as you saw. But
That's the idea. That's the hope. That's the hope.
this is rural McKean County.
There's no boardwalk, then you can't go out. then there's a problem.
Yeah, you can almost still see the old path.
Well, at that time, it was still a state park, but it didn't get a lot of traction. It was 2 deep dirt parking lots and a bridge. That's it.
Oh, for down that part.
You mean?
It was real frosty when the guys when we were watching them.
This is what I want to get a picture of.
What?
So, to my knowledge, it went from Pittsburgh to here. Pittsburgh to Erie. Normally they'll sun themselves in the street. It's like a perfect angle, and they sit up there like gargoyles with their wings out, and they catch the sun, and they just warm up hours and hours. And then eventually they'll take off, start flying around the valley. But I've seen 9 turkey vulture in that one tree.
Alright. So I think I come to a refurbished part. This is the concrete. This here are your 2 gusset plates. And then the steel beam goes straight up to the railroad deck. Everything's bolted in down to the concrete. So when the F1 tornado came through, all the wind was pushing it this way, ripped everything off. So all the steel's over to the left of the bridge. And you actually see on that one all that damage from the steel crushing and ripping off the concrete. While this side, down in the valley, nothing happened, except the gusset plate was missing. And that's the last little bit before we get to the visitor center. And here's that corrugated steel they have hanging underneath. Looks like they've got a maintenance catwalk. Might be doing inspections. It's been a while, so I can see them doing inspections and maintenance. We're still here at the base of the valley. Still in awe. You know, they say that nature is powerful and all that, but you don't really, until you physically see it, you know, in the flesh. A grillage, a footer, bolts, and then that really wavy, I mean, just the extent of the damage. It is really difficult to put into words just how awesome that is. You know, it's just an insane amount of damage. And they said that was a weak one. That was an F1 tornado. So if it had, you know, a tornado with actual teeth that could do actual damage, I don't think anything would be left. And one of the park rangers was telling me, and I haven't exactly seen it. They say it is autumn, so leaves have died off on a lot of plants. It's hard to tell, but there's taller dead ones that you can kind of see over there. So the wind blew everything off. The tornado blew everything off, killed the tree, and it remains. But the trees with leaves, this is all new growth. This is about 23 years, so it's a decent amount of growth for 23 years. And some of these newer trees. Again with the Kinzua Creek. So the shorter one with leaves is newer growth. The tall, skinny, lanky one with the bark falling off, that's old growth. The tornado would have lifted the roots up enough that it damaged the roots, it would have killed the tree. And then this bridge, it's pretty awesome. I'm not sure where you live, but just look at how clear that water is. I'm not sure what gives it the milky consistency. If that's just sediment or something else, but I think it's pretty cool.
Hello.
Hi, how are you? How are you?
Hello.
How's it going? Tried my best to stay on the trails. They say if you go off, that can create erosion problems. Not just one person, but if enough people do it, the problem gets severe. It can't be ignored anymore. This is October 9th. Look at all the greenery. McKean County. October 9th, 2025. Actually, fairly decent amount of greenery. Alright. I'll be back if there's something interesting. Alright. I'm really running low on battery here, but I wanted to show you. This is that plate. The bolt holes would line up with this, and then you would attach the bolts up top, anchoring the gusset plate down to that pretty fresh piece of concrete there where it was ripped out of. As you can see, there was some damage when that wind ripped everything off. You can actually kind of see this plate was actually completely bent. Now, it's been a while since that tornado hit, so it's hard to say if this is just placed here by locals, if it was put here by state park employees, or if that's just how it fell. With as worn out as this pathway is, I don't think I was the first person down here. But you can kind of see just how extensive. Oh yeah, that was literally shorn right off. It just dropped. That went down deep. And it looks like everything was just pushed and shoved up towards the hilltop. So it looks like it had 2 plates, 2 bolts, and that's what secured everything to that concrete pillar. So again, just how mangled all this is. On the plus side, the rivets and the bolts work. Everything was bent to hell. It wasn't just broken apart, busted open. So at least they did that part right. In terms of the steel, you do a sample, strength, do a hardness test on the steel. I imagine that's still very strong, even though it is heavily rusted. About 17% battery left. I really ought to switch these batteries out. Get in some more photos. Swap out the battery on this GoPro. And we could send it on the way up. Alright, that's it for now. Alright, so we're done with the photos. More signs telling you this is most difficult. So let's see what they got. Wind is a little on the cool side. So it's October 9th, and as you can see, there's still a good deal of green. We had a really dry year, as I alluded to earlier, but some parts of the state you still get some very vibrant and bright colors. A lot, because it's about a 4.5 hour drive to get here. A lot of the state, things were very dull. The leaves were changing color, but not as vibrant as what you'd be used to. Kind of has like a rainforest look to it, doesn't it? I just think that's fucking cool. They were not kidding when they said most difficult. Use these boulders as stairs. It's a challenge getting down. It's going to be a real challenge getting them back up. But I already could use the exercise, so let's go. I hear voices. So we really haven't gone that far, but you can already kind of see the valley floor is dipping down. And like any good piece of engineering, the bridge kind of goes right the way along with it. Doesn't look like we're far from the valley floor at all now. Like I said, getting back up will be interesting, but for now, we'll enjoy the ease of going down. Yeah, I was kind of worried about that. It looks a lot easier. On the plus side, they had those benches too along the way up. Yeah, you'll need it. Yeah, true. Some of the boulders are like they're going down a ways to get down. This looks like one of those social trails the park ranger was talking about. But here, just kind of show you. A handful of those leaves are very vibrant. The majority of them are actually pretty dull. Meteorologist friend of mine said that's lack of rain. That rain increases the amount of chloroform in the leaves, and that's what keeps them green and alive. In autumn, when everything dies, they change colors. Chloroform leads to brighter, vibrant colors. Well, if you don't have rain, you don't have chloroform, you don't have color. This is pretty neat. Now see, when I came in 2012, the corrugated steel sheeting was not underneath the bridge like that. That's all relatively very recent. I don't know if you saw earlier with the glass you could stand on top of and look all the way down. When I was here in 2012, you were able to look straight down. And now there's the wood and then the corrugated steel sheeting. I don't know if that's a safety thing, if people were losing, phones and money, wallets, etc. But It looks like they kind of added that as a way to idiot-proof the walkway. And just look at all the moss, right? Tell me that ain't cinematic. This is the Kinzua Creek. I've seen clear water in nature, but just look at this. That is absolutely crystal clear. On the plus side, it's moving water, so there's no worry about mosquitoes or gnats or any other pests. Thankfully, it's October, so a lot of them are all dead or dying. We've had some pretty erratic weather lately, but it's the Kinzua Creek and the Kinzua Bridge. And now we're coming up on some structural elements here. And take a look at the way bridges used to be built in the 1880s. So this is where the bulk of the weight went down, kind of like a pyramid, so that the bulk of the weight is spread out further at the base than at the top. And this here, the grillage, is where you would have attached these big pieces. Now, the debris field for this is ginormous, just ginormous. But this is damage wrought by a F1 tornado. For those of you that don't know, it's pretty weak. Mind you, these are the old footers made of stone. The newer concrete ones, the big, almost pyramid looking ones, guy that worked at a steel mill and who welds. The steel is actually pretty interesting to me. And just gives you just how awesome the power of nature was. And that straight, solid pieces of steel could be mangled like this. I don't want to go too far. The grass is high and it's difficult to see where exactly I'm going. You can kind of make out gusset plates ripped, shorn. And that wind, when that tornado came through, that wind, even though it was only an F1, which is very weak as far as, the weakest as far as tornadoes go, it was strong enough to do a lot of damage, as you can see. But it's almost wavy. It almost looks like a wave. You can see a bit of the corrosion. Some of that's iron. There's a pretty extensive debris field. high grass. I don't want to get too far off the trail. I'd like to be able to at least see the ground. This is pretty straightforward. So, this is a little better. You can kind of see. Actually, you can see really well. So this pipe, this would have, well, not pipe, this piece here, you would have bolted this plate. I'll show you. Would have sat flush against the very flat concrete surface. You would bolt that. See what I mean? That plate right there, that flat piece with the almost egg-shaped holes, would have gone on top of this and been bolted down. And that's would have held, part of at least, the entire assembly. But the tornado came through and it literally just ripped everything off. And this shows you how significant. This is older Portland concrete. It's got the stone in it. Some of these are fist-sized pieces. Literally shore everything off, blew it right off, along with the steel that was attached to it. It shows you, even though it was a weak F1, that was a significant amount of energy pushed out. So this side's still pretty well preserved. And actually, if you look down there, you can see the gusset plate attached to the grillage and where the bolts would have gone on that were bent to hell. You just take a look. But that steel work was very intricate, and then Mother Nature just, you know, I want to get close to this, but it looks like there's a small creek and I don't have boots. The park rangers warned me, you don't want to go off the trail, so I don't want to be that idiot. Go off and get himself injured. 6 foot 4 inches tall on the downslope side. I'm dwarfed by that drillage, so this one looks like it's pretty safe to walk to, but you can see where the bolts would have gone on and the gusset plate to attach. Oh, just look at how mangled everything is. See, up on the bridge you can hear the wind. Here it's very faint in comparison. It's just amazing how there's microscopic holes in the concrete. You can see it starting to fall apart. Mind you, there haven't been trains running this bridge since the 2002 tornado, but so that's been what? 2002 to 2022 is 20 years, 23 years. It'll be 23 years. Probably didn't bother inspecting, maintaining. There's quite a bit of damage. Some of that's just All the moss, the lichen, and then of course the damage from the steel being rent off the grillage definitely doesn't help. I think I'm getting close to running out of battery here, so I have to stop filming, switch out, and take some photos. Those were the bolt holes, and that looks like it was literally just ripped off. These are thick, heavy stones. The wind was able to rip all that off. It's insane. Really makes you appreciate the raw power of nature, doesn't it? Alright, time to swap out some batteries, take some photos. I'll be back. So I was talking to a couple of park rangers. They weren't exactly full-on prohibiting going off trail, but they did issue some warnings that basically, and that's obvious with anytime you're out in nature, things aren't always as they appear, so you do really have to watch. What looks like a healthy trail can end up in a ditch that pretty much is knee-high. So, just like with any other time I hike, if I do go down to the base of this bridge, see what I see, I'm gonna have to keep an eye open. Be very careful. But, as I said, it's been, I think 2012 is the first time I came here. So those are very basic, older iPhone shots. If you're watching this and you know me on Facebook, you could find those older pictures. They are a little more on the grainy side. So now with the iPhone 16, I'm hoping they'll be a little crisper, and I did bring my Canon, so on the off chance.
Nobody is feeling super hungry. That's what you might be able to do.
So, a bit of a brief history. This, like most of Pennsylvania, this area was crisscrossed by railroad. And it moved coal, iron, and steel from where things were mined to where things were needed. And this bridge was meant, like all bridges, to bridge a gap or a valley. Now see, the last time I was here, the train tracks were there. I think those have been removed. Well, they've obviously been removed. I don't know why. It's a beautiful look. But, so this is the valley. Outside of the major cities, Pennsylvania really is a very beautiful state. It's definitely something very appropriate if you're at a nature level. You can really appreciate the vastness. Don't worry, we'll go down. work of glaciers. Outside of the random conversations with people, really the only thing you can pick up is the wind. This is serenity. In 2003, a tornado ripped through here. It was a weak one, F1. But as you can see, did quite a number on the steel. Ripped it clear off the foundations of those pillars, the grillage. That body of water down there is a Kinzua Creek. Now, according to the park ranger, there are paths underneath the bridge for the purposes of taking photos. But any of that, the debris field, he said was off limits. But the warning he gave me was that be careful because there's a lot of ditches. You can kind of see some people down there. There's just people, social trails made over the generations. Not supposed to be there, but if you do, just be careful. And the further uphill you go to the other side, which is not part of the state park, it's not developed. And that is one hell of a fall. So I've seen the top the second time. There are trails underneath the bridge that'll get us close to the Kinzua Creek. So now I'm going to catch up hopefully with the people I came here with. Seeing it's 4 hours away from my house, I'm really not in too much of a hurry to have to make an extra trip, a necessary trip. So hopefully I can run into them, and I do kind of see some overlooks over there. It's about noon, so the sun's directly overhead, so it's actually great lighting. Just can't get over how serene it is out here. As you get closer towards the end of the bridge, the wind dies down. It's pretty nasty. It's almost constant wind, you know. But as we go down into the valley, we'll be closer to the ground. Hopefully the wind isn't that bad. does kind of look like a wind tunnel, but there's plenty of trees down there, so hopefully that kind of breaks up the flow of the wind. But again, we shall see. I ended up getting a whole shit ton of GoPro batteries, so I'm gonna try to do some pretty consistent filming. I was talking to a park ranger and asking some technical questions, and something tells me those stairs aren't open. Yeah, no trespassing. They definitely don't want you there. Check a look at that view.
Oh, they're still doing the top again.
Yeah, she said because of that womanized.
Right. I wonder if they're leaving the sides are all done now. Like, they did something
I've always found this to be really beautiful. It's just something poetic about it. Oh, now this would be nice. I love about state parks, the steps are not steep at all. After this, we'll do the Kinzua Creek Trail, which should take you down towards the base. But this
My lake
place called
Superior.
Prestview.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'll be curious to see what it's. We haven't really been on Lake Erie much because we have Huron and Lake Michigan and Lake Superior, but I haven't been on Erie that often.
This was my first time on Lake Erie.
Yeah.
This trip. I used to live on Lake Champlain.
I will say this, people are very nice, very talkative. As you can hear, so people sharing some pretty personal info, but Isn't that something else? Yeah, that does look pretty difficult. Let's see what this one is. It's weird, the mix of healthy green and dying. It's a weird time of year to be out in nature. Hello, how are you? I'm 43 years old, and normally we've got pretty vibrant colors in autumn. Although 2025 here was a very dry year. And obviously that's going to impact the absorption of water, all that fun stuff. But this here kind of looks cool. You won't get that from a tour guide. So that's the base. This is a concrete base, and then the grillage, and the towers went up from that. And then you just repeat the process straight on down the line. And that's how you basically build a bridge. I'm going to cut this out, and I'm going to take some photos. But that's what I like to do. See you on the flip side. Alright. So I think I come to a refurbished part. This is the concrete. This here are your two gusset plates. And then the steel beam goes straight up to the railroad deck. Everything's bolted in down to the concrete. So when the F1 tornado came through, all the wind was pushing it this way, ripped everything off. So all the steel is over to the left of the bridge. And you actually see on that one all that damage from the steel crushing and ripping off the concrete. While this side, down in the valley, nothing happened, except the gusset plate was missing. And that's the last little bit before we get to the visitor center. And here's that corrugated steel they have hanging underneath. Looks like they've got a maintenance catwalk. Might be doing inspections. It's been a while, so I can see them doing inspections and maintenance. Back before OSHA was a thing and workplace safety was a thing, you would literally tie rope around iron or steel, dangle, and it wasn't what, 10 feet, it was 100 feet. So you slip off that little saddle thing and you're done. I think that's a nice touch.
There's a little plaque
But,
that says
let's see what they got.